Keep washing the tractor. I want it clean, Gianna.
Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be focusing on servicing the King Kutter XB Tiller. I'm going to walk you through all the different grease locations on it, checking the oil in the gearboxes, and doing a general once-over on it to ensure that it's ready for the 2021 growing season. So first I'm going to just give a quick overview of the King Kutter XB Tiller. This is the 48-inch model. It's gear driven in the side with the gearbox over here. It does have a slip clutch, so we're going to be doing a slip on that clutch to ensure that it's free for the tilling season. Also notice I'm using the PAX quick hitch system on the tiller, and I will tell you that hooking up to this tiller with a traditional quick hitch would have been a challenge. The eyes are so close together you would have had to have extensions in order to reach it with a quick hitch. Now, one of the first things we're always going to want to do when working with a tiller or any implement that's extremely heavy is make sure we have a good jack stand or something underneath it to support it. This tiller weighs several hundred pounds, and if it was to accidentally drop or the 3-point was to fail at some point, it could very easily mash a hand, a foot, a leg, and we just don't want to take any chances. So I'm going to use just a jack stand under it. I'll lower it down to be on those stands. After it's on the stands, I'm going to give it a good shake to make sure it feels secure, and it does feel pretty secure there. The top link, though, is still under tension as the tiller may want to try to rock off those stands. So let's get started. All right, you're going to have oil in this end cover, and up here is a breather for that oil. I've noticed there's been a lot of, I guess, vaporized oil blowout over the last season. It ran down. It kind of made a little bit of a mess. We also have one plug down here for checking that oil level, so I'm going to be checking that level. I'm also going to clean this up, take out the breather, and I'm going to clean it good with some carbon or with some brake cleaner. So you can actually see it a little bit better now. I've cleaned all that grease and that oil off here. I'm going to pull out the vent plug. We're going to check that for cleanliness. You can also see down here is where the level check plug is right down here. So I'm going to be checking the oil in this gearbox, and then we're going to be ready to go. Well, the grease definitely has kind of a yellow color to it. So I'm going to pull this bottom plug out and just see what it looks like. It also appears to be kind of thick. So I got my drain plug here and just a can of brake cleaner. I'm going to first kind of get some of that gear lube and stuff out of the tip there. So I got my Allen wrench with a 6-inch extension. Pull this plug out. You're gonna want to be a little careful, not that we make a huge oil mess if there is. Oh yeah, it's nasty. It's coming out like butter essentially, and my jack stand is right where my pan needs to be. That's what I get for being safe. I'm definitely glad I drained this before I started the tilling season. I don't know if you can see that good on, it looks like baby diarrhea. And I really think what needs to happen is I need to pull off this outside cover and clean the rest of this sludge out. All right. And there we're in. The rest of that slop out of there. As you can see, that was just terrible. That's not what a 1-year-old tiller should have in it. You could say, well, Jason, it was because you left it outside. But the fact is I haven't tilled with this thing in months. And most likely that water was in the oil whenever I bought it. Wasn't something I thought, you know, you buy a tiller, it says right on the manual, gearbox has oil. Why would you think to say gearbox has oil plus it has water? Luckily, I don't see any rust, so the oil has prevented the rust.
Alright, so that's about as good as I'm going to get this thing cleaned up. I'm going to clean the gasket and the cover up next, and then reassemble everything. I'm probably also going to clean the hardware up. I'll get this cover back up in there. Alright, that should get all those back in. Alright, so we're gonna fill the gearbox with oil now finally, after cleaning that mess out. So what you do is you fill the oil until the oil starts coming out of the lower plug. There we go. Reinstall the lower plug. Now we're gonna put our vent plug back in. One last step before we wrap up this gearbox. I want to give it all a wash with Simple Green, get any oil residue that's left. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to inspect the upper gearbox. Obviously it's got a little bit of cleaning that I need to do here, and you also have one plug right here that will be removed, and we'll check the level of oil. The oil should run out of that. But we're going to find out. Well, it's definitely milky. I'm going to try to put some oil in it. And maybe it's not. Take this old jug. Use it to suck out. I don't think that was water in there. I think what it is it's just a little low, and it had some crud sitting right there. So maybe this winter, after we're done with this tiller season, change the oil out of this gearbox. And then my plan is to put bags over those breathers to avoid any additional rain from getting inside of them. Again with the Simple Green. Any oil residue, I want to kind of clean it up. Okay, 2 gearboxes are checked. Okay, now for something just a wee bit easier, I'm just going to grease this bearing before we start on the slip clutch. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm here, or while I have the grease gun out, is I'm going to grease the loader. And as with any piece of equipment, you should give it a good once over. It's easy to see now with that shield off, but we've got some twine wrapped up from somebody's garden that they probably threw some straw bales or something out in it, and it's wrapped up around the spindle. I have to get that out because it's a good way to cut a seal. All right, so that looks like I've got most of the stuff cleaned up off the tiller. All the tines, I'm gonna just look them over real quick. I don't have any broken ones, cracked ones. The tines are self-sharpening, so you don't have to worry about sharpening those. So the only thing we have left is to grease the drive shaft and then slip the clutch. So it's kind of hard to see in here, but what we have to do is we've got to take all those bolts, the springs on them, we got to back those off so that the tension on the clutch plates gets reduced to a point that when you snap the PTO in, it'll slip. The reason you want to do this is over the winter, there's a plate in between 2 other plates, and they can kind of get rusted together where they won't slip. And then your fuse is now no longer a fuse. If that happens, if you hit something where it should slip, it's going to end up breaking something. So I'm going to get socket and ratchet and back those off. So what I'm going to use here is just a pair of sliding calipers, and I'm just going to get a rough guess on what the measurement is. to do is put a little piece of tape. Ideally, I'd use a white marker, but I don't have a white marker. So I'm going to put a couple pieces of silver tape here. And then I got a little bit of white marking paint. I'm going to try to spray down there. And it won't be perfect, but if we get it to slip a quarter of a way, we'll know. I still can't tell, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a board through the tiller, and it's probably not the smartest thing in the world. So with that, I let it spin quite a bit. And that should have it pretty freed up. Now all I got left is to retorque the springs. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Hoosier Helpers. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up. We'd greatly appreciate that. So until next time, have a great day. Thanks. Bye.